can thank Sean for this video. It was hard enough thinking of 5 things that can contribute to a dodgy scuba diving setup, let alone another 5 for a part 2 video. So if you haven't seen our part 1 video, then it's just popped up somewhere on screen for you to click on.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you, Sean. So the more time you spend in the water, the greater your chances are of seeing one of these abominations in the water. And if you're thinking of investing in one, then maybe you need to reassess your priorities. So scuba gear today is all about safety and practicality. So if you're trying to cut corners, then you're gonna have a bad time. There's no sense in scraping through the gates just so that you can go diving, but you're not going to be enjoying yourself. You wouldn't dive in cold waters in a shorty because it's cheaper than a dry suit, so why would you shortchange yourself with any more of your kit? There's also some dodgy bits out there that can just be dangerous, so best left on the shelf. And I've made that one number 5, so you're gonna have to watch the entire video to find out what that dangerous bit of kit is. And if you have one on your BCD, then I bet you'll be secretly going off and removing it after watching this video. So let's take a closer look at dodgy scuba diving setups, part 2. If you've made it yourself, then you're either a genius or an idiot. So there aren't scuba diving police who are gonna swoop in and stop you from using your Frankenstein, whatever you call it, to go scuba diving. So if you do know what you're doing, then okay, sure, fine. But everything should be fine, but if you're, duct taping something that's wrapped in zip ties, then you could maybe, take a moment, reassess why your Frankenstein monster hasn't been invented by, one of the big main manufacturers yet. Chances are that their R&D boys have thought of something similar, but couldn't get it to work. But necessity, I suppose, is the mother of invention. If you've come across a gap in the market, then go for it. But just bear in mind that Kickstarter is full of bits and bobs that have actually been constructed fairly properly, but still haven't really made it into production yet. If you are trying to save yourself a few bucks by crocheting your own weight belt, then just, loosen the purse strings a bit and don't make it yourself.
Blue tack,
cable ties, duct tape, if any of those are in any part of your scuba kit.
What about expanding foam Gorilla Glue?
No. If you've bought all of your gear from Craigslist, then you may have saved yourself a few dollars, but why does it smell that way? And why is everyone setting up on the other side of the boat? If you don't know what you're buying, then there's a huge difference between being thrifty and just buying out-of-date gear that is just falling apart. Buy cheap, buy twice. So far, I've bought maybe 2 things secondhand online, and they were both very careful calculations. A set of regulators that I knew a guy who could actually get them back in running order, but I wouldn't risk it on something that I didn't know, or if I didn't know a sharp enough technician with the parts to actually get it back up and running. Until you've been in and around the industry, you really don't know enough about gear and trends to know what to buy and what to avoid. If I think back to the gear that I used to think was cool when I first started out, man, what an idiot I used to be.
Still are.
I like old-fashioned gear, but twin hose regulators have some major downsides. They do have their upsides. It's nice that all of your bubbles are behind your head, so you never get any bubbles in front of your face, which makes them great for photography, but not so easy to, fill a lift bag or a SMB. So the other downside is that the entire hose is going to start to fill up with water if the mouthpiece ever comes out of your mouth. So you're going to have to flush out the whole thing either by free-flowing it over your head or, rolling onto your back and making it free flow that way, so it's just a real pain in the neck. We have come a long way since then, and you'll notice a distinct lack of twin hose regulators being produced today. Rebreathers are probably the only place you'll find them today, and even they have a single hose second stage built in and a handy little valve. Twin hose regulators have their place, and it's in a nice display case in a museum.
Or as a backdrop.
They do make it look cool. If you think side mounting or twin cylinders are cool, then, do a course on them, or at least spend some time with someone that dives that discipline. Throwing together a side mount setup based on a few pictures you've seen online from hoses that you have left over in your toolbox is just a bad idea. Close enough is a recipe for disaster, and there are some disciplines to scuba diving where you really do actually need to do some training of some kind. Most people should be able to figure out how to send up a DSMB from a few videos online, but diving side mount requires a bit more to and fro than you really can't just clip on a couple cylinders onto your jacket style BCD. That's not how it works.
It is.
No, it really isn't.
Yeah.
It just...
That's how it works.
There's no D-ring there. Why? Clips of death. So carabiners are fine for climbing, I guess, but they have no place underwater. First of all, most of them will corrode in seawater, so if you really want to screw up your climbing carabiner, then take it on a dive with you. The only thing worse than a flappy snag hazard is a flappy snag hazard with a spring-loaded lock. So carabiners are big old hooks so that you can be swimming along and then whatever is floating in the water can push against the gate, open it, and then it will snap closed behind it, locking you in position underwater with a limited air supply. And remember that rope is pure evil underwater and it is out to get you. So if you get within reach of a section of rope underwater with a carabiner anywhere on you, then more fool you. Swap them out for simple bolt snaps. They are far safer and not nicknamed suicide clips. So there are a few dodgy scuba diving things that you'd best avoid, and please don't ask for a part 3 video, or I'll have to do a lot more research into the dark depths of scuba diving. I'm sure there are more dodgy scuba stuff throughout history, but it's gonna take a lot more research to find them. But what is the dodgiest thing that you have ever seen on a dive boat or in the water? Let's discuss dangerous things in the comments so that nobody else is tempted to go down those roads. Don't forget your social obligations neither. You've watched the video this far, so you must have enjoyed it, right? So it would just be awkward if you didn't click the like button. What would other people think of you if you didn't? Thanks for watching, and of course, safe diving. We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.